Kings Island is one of Cedar Fair's flagship parks and is located in Mason, Ohio. It's considered to have one of the best coaster lineups in the entire country and has brand new thrill rides like Orion and absolute classics like the Beast. The park itself is overall just great too. It has an amazing atmosphere and some great food to go along with it. The coaster lineup is so good that most of the time there isn't a unanimous choice for the number one coaster. In fact, the top 5 is almost always different from person to person. I was able to visit the park 3 times in 2021 and got a good sense of how much I liked all the rides. Today I'm going to be counting down my top 10 favorite coasters at Kings Island. Starting with number 10 is BACKLOT Stunt Coaster. BACKLOT is a super fun family coaster from Premier Rides that is a lot more tense than one might think. The ride starts out with a fun launch and then goes into a super tight helix with tons of positive G-forces. The first time I rode a BACKLOT clone was at Kings Dominion in 2019, and I was really impressed with that one. While I thought the Kings Dominion version ran slightly better than this, the ride was still great and all of the theming effects worked, like the helicopter, fire, and music. Overall, the scenery also just makes this ride a lot more fun, and if it was just the ride on a blank plot of land, I don't think I would like it as much, so the fun police chase theming really helps out this ride. Number 9, the Bat. The Bat is currently my favorite of the 2 Aero suspended coasters that I've ridden, the other being Iron Dragon and Cedar Point. And to be honest, I think I have my expectations just a little too high for this one. The ride was still super fun and had some really intense moments, however I thought the swinging was going to be more pronounced. I only got to ride this in the middle area and the back car, but from what I remember, the back was very intense. It swings quite a bit, and once you go down that high turn after the first drop, the ride tears through the rest of the course, pulling great positive G-forces. Number 8, Adventure Express. This ride really took me and my whole group by surprise. This is a super fun aero mine train with some nice theming, tunnels, and intense moments scattered throughout the ride. The ride is a bit bumpy, which is to be expected with these old aero mine trains, but the layout still has a nice amount of lateral forces and a good sense of speed. It's currently my second favorite aero mine train behind the Runaway Mine Train at Great Adventure, because to be honest, I can never get enough of that ejector hill. However, I really do enjoy the theming on this ride, especially at the end. Yes, the ending is a little anticlimactic, but that tunnel with all those figurines is so much fun to be in. Number 7, the Racer. Now, I technically count this as 2 separate coasters, however I lump them into one ranking since they're extremely similar in the way they ride, and obviously the layout too. This is a super fun airtime filled classic wooden coaster, and I like it a lot more than Racer 75 at Kings Dominion. The new Gravity Group prefab track makes the first half of this ride butter smooth, but still have that wooden coaster feel, which is exactly what I love. The second half is still sort of rough, but it provides some fun airtime, and the racing aspect is a ton of fun in the first half, but unfortunately it's kind of lost in the second half since the structure divides into 2 sides. Hopefully the rest of the ride gets the new track soon so it becomes one of the park's best coasters, because honestly this is a really good underrated ride in my opinion. Number 6, Flight of Fear. I went into this ride thinking that I really wouldn't like it that much based on my opinion of the version of Kings Dominion, but for whatever reason this ride delivered. The queue and station have some great theming, much better than Kings Dominion's might I add, and it really ties into the new Area 72 with Orion. The first half of the ride is very forceful, and being in the dark makes the layout even crazier. The second half starts out with a near complete stop on the block break, but for whatever reason, the end of the layout it was picking up a ton of speed and absolutely whipped through the final turns and the corkscrew. I'm not the only one in my group with the same opinion about this ride. My group absolutely loves this version while hating the Kings Dominion version. Not sure what it is, but just keep it up, Kings Island. However, I still prefer Joker's Jinx as the best Premier Rides spaghetti bowl coaster. Number 5, the Beast. To some, this may seem low for one of the most iconic coasters on the planet and the world's longest wooden coaster. I have to say though, I really did not like this ride the first time I rode it. I thought the ride was really dumb and really didn't serve a purpose in the lineup of Kings Island. The second day I went to Kings Island, I started to understand why this is a good ride to many. I mainly rode in the back car on my few rides on the Beast, and it's very scenic going through the woods, and it has a very, very great setting, and it has one of my favorite settings on any coasters, up there with Boulder Dash and Lightning Rod. It doesn't pull a ton of forces, but it does pick up some speed at points, which gets pretty fun. The first half is very rough, at least it was in 2021, and almost painful at times. But this isn't why I liked the Beast. The second lift is where this ride gets good. Looking down that shallow drop, seeing the tunnel that you think you can't fit in is very scary. The slow buildup of speed and has crazy anticipation. And then when you hit that helix, it's one of the most intense moments on any coaster. You have a ton of speed and you just slam into the right side of the train, or if you're sitting on the left side, the person next to you. You get sustained laterals, and being in that tunnel going that fast is insane. The helix is also slightly rough, making the experience more intense. Definitely make sure you sit on the left side of the train for the tunnel. It feels like you're going to touch the side of the tunnel or the catwalk if you have your hands up. It's truly one of the best near misses on any coaster. And honestly, looking at new POVs of the 2022 version of the Beast with the very smooth retracking and how much faster it's running, this may get higher if I ever get any night rides on the Beast too, but as of right now, I only have day rides, which is very unfortunate. I hope to get back on the Beast soon to really get that new retracking and maybe some night rides. Number 4, Banshee. I went into this ride thinking it would be my favorite B&M invert, and it did just that, but instead exceeded my expectations. If you like positives, this ride is definitely for you. The ride starts out with a crazy drop, and if you're in the back row, it even has some airtime and laterals. The rest of the ride is also a total powerhouse. Every valley pushes you further and further into your seat, and the valley right before the pretzel knot is insane. It pulls out right at the last second, and is one of my favorite moments on any coaster, because it absolutely slams you with positive G-forces. The pretzel knot is also super fast and intense, and fun fact, it's actually where the ride hits its top speed, so it definitely feels very fast. The ride then finishes out with an inline twist with a great moment of hang time contrasting against the very powerful rest of the ride, and then another moment of intense positive G's with the final helix. If you need a super smooth ride, make sure you avoid the teal train. At least in 2021, it was very rattly and caused a little discomfort on the ride. However, the ride is still so great, I chose to ignore it. Number 3, Diamondback. If there's one word to describe this ride, it's airtime. Every single hill gives amazing floater airtime, and it's all sustained. The ride starts out with a 230-foot climb into an amazing 215-foot drop with amazing sustained floater airtime, and the rest of the ride is all giant hills with, once again, amazing sustained floater airtime. There's a few helixes mixed in here and there with some decent force to supply some difference to the ride, and of course it ends out with that amazing splashdown right at the end. Overall, I think Diamondback is currently my second favorite B&M hyper, right behind Mako, and honestly, it definitely deserves the hype, and I understand why people say it's their favorite coaster, Kings Island. However, I prefer 2 more. Number 2, Mystic Timbers. Mystic Timbers is GCI's magnum opus. The ride's theme is very fun, the drop is great, it has crazy laterals, strong floater airtime, and the pacing is insane. Once the ride heads down the drop, it feels like it never slows down, and I don't care what anybody says, I love the shed. If you have the right group, you can really make it fun with getting everyone all hyped up, or just singing along to the 80s classics. It also has that perfect wooden coaster feel, where it's smooth, however, it's still aggressive. Number 1, Orion. This is currently the only B&M Giga coaster that I've ridden, which is very unfortunate because this is amazing and I can't imagine what the other ones are like. The queue has some awesome theming and references to other rides of the park, and past rides too. There's also some references that other coaster enthusiasts will understand and find throughout the pre-show area. It's really well done in my opinion, especially for Cedar Fair. The ride itself is filled with some amazing floater airtime, and the drop feels like it lasts forever, and every hill is fun too. The quote-unquote wave turn gives a little bit of floater air and even laterals, which I find very enjoyable and is definitely an underrated moment on the ride. The turnaround gives some nice positives, and that speed hill is absolutely crazy and is definitely one of my favorite moments on any coaster. The rest of the ride has some great airtime, and the helix pulls some nice positives. Overall, I think Orion is a very underrated ride and gets way too much hate for quote-unquote not being a Giga, which it is. It's a roller coaster. Enjoy it. Who cares if it's 287 feet? Thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed the countdown of the top 10 coasters at Kings Island. If you did, make sure you leave a like, and of course comment your favorite coasters at Kings Island or your opinion on mine. Once again, everybody, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe for future videos, and I'll hope to see you all in the next one.